I've asked you if you knew exactly where to find each resource in Astroneer, and the results of the poll were, well, divided. If you are tired to play hide and seek every time you need a resource to craft something, let's learn together where to find the basic resources that spawn on each and every planet and moon in Astroneer. I'll publish a second video to show where to look for planet-specific resources. Resin. Easy, resin grows on trees, right? Wrong. In Astroneer it's commonly found on the surface and it extends to caves too. It's one of the easiest resources to find, thanks to its poppy yellow mac and cheese color, and it spawns very commonly and in large quantities. Arguably the easiest resource to spot. Just activate your terrain tool on any kind of flora and you'll get yourself a lot of the healthiest resource in the whole game, organic. Just be aware that you can't use the old extractor on it. So it's one of those resources that you can't automate the collection of, you'd need to pick it up manually. It's very common on the surface of any planet, it grows organically. You might think that organic waste gets decomposed, but it's not so. So when you reach the point you have too much, don't leave it on the ground. Resources laying around will cause lags, especially on servers. Compound appears in compounds, of course, of grey spheres and can be found with varying rarity on each planet on the surface, and it may extend to the caves below. Quartz is useful to make cool lanterns. It appears as cluster of tall, pink, hexagonal crystals. It's less common, and in my experience the easiest way to find it is by looking in the first cave layers. Clay is one of those resources like police. It's never around when you need it. It tends to spawn on the surface, it's brown, which doesn't help spotting it, and appears as a cluster of pedestrian obscene obstacle produce. It's so rare that even though I don't particularly like using the soil centrifuge, this is the one resource I would use it for. Alternatively, when you find a clay spot, I highly recommend placing an odd extractor to get as much as you can out of it, because it's not very abundant. And not to mention that by doing so you are being useful to the community. Your fellow Astroneer will be able to spot it and not step on it. These are not porcupines, it's a graphite deposit. This resource is not very common either, just a little more than clay, so you might as well place an odd extractor on it. It spawns commonly on the surface. You can find it on Silva next to cracks below mountains. Laterite can be found below the surface, you'll need to dig or reach a cave. It looks like poker chips and spawns pretty abundantly even in the first layers. Ammonium appears as yellowish granola clusters. Ammonium and milk for breakfast. It may be as rare as clay, but usually deposits of ammonium are larger. On Silva, look for it in the forests. Astronium. Arguably the hardest resource to get because it's found at the core of the planets after the hardest soil layers, but once there, it's found in abundance. Astronium appears as iridescent clusters, fading from green in the center to fuchsia on the edge. As fancy as the Joker himself, you can't miss it. If you can't find enough of these resources or you're lazy like me, try using an odd extractor that grants you 15 times the amount you would get by collecting them manually, so you won't need to look for as many, or go for the soil centrifuge or the trade platform. Watch these videos next to learn more about these tools, or part 2 of this video to know how to get planet-specific resources. Thanks to the members of the channel who are making videos like this possible, especially this dear member who has been supporting me for almost 1 year and is about to get a special 12-month badge. Stay safe.